Hello again, Mike. I'm here with a follow-up video to what Mantic Games do, and I said I would break their games down a little bit more. You may have seen a mixture of their ranges in a lot of different shops or online, and they come over a wide variety of games that can sometimes confuse people. So this is me trying to make it a bit simpler. So I said in my previous video, they've got four sort of arms: fantasy, sci-fi, they do a bunch of terrain, and they also do some individual games based on IP that's not their own, such as the Hellboy game. Today I'm just going to be talking about their fantasy line. So, it is all set in the world of Panithor. You may also have heard the term Mantica. So, Panithor is the world currently. Mantica is sort of a large area continent on that world. When Mantic Games was a little bit smaller, it was all set around Mantica. As they have expanded their number of armies and their lore and their history, it has got a bit bigger, so we have now termed it Panithor. If you were interested, Winged Hussar do a lot of fiction based around the fantasy world of Mantica. Some origins of the world have been coming out, some characters within it. Really worth having a look at. So I'm just going to take that off there for the moment. So they have several games set in their fantasy world. Armada. This is a naval battle. The ships are small scale, so the ships are on long bases by 30 millimeters, so yay sort of big, and it's a naval warfare. They've released one supplement for it, which from the original rulebook, and if you're into ships, it's based similarly but not exactly the same as Black Sails. It is well worth a look at. The boats are lovely. I'll show some in another video. They also do Kings of War. That is what they are mostly known for. That is the big rank and flank game, massed battles set in a fantasy setting. So you may have also heard from Kings of War, Ambush and Legendary. They are Kings of War based rule systems. Ambush is for small scale battles up to sort of 1,000 points. Kings of War is usually played around 2,000 points. Legendary battles are 3,000 points. They all use the same models, the same stats, the same rule mechanics. We'll talk about that in a Kings of War video later on. But they are the same. The only thing that's different is basically how you build your army. And all three of those sets of rules, Kings of War, the Ambush variant and the Legendary variant, as well as Siege variants, are available in their current Big Red rulebook, the 1 rulebook, sometimes known as 3.5. But their main current rulebook has all of those variants in. If you want to play a small quick battle, Ambush. If you want to play a regular, most tournament sizes are Kings of War. Again, if you want to bring every single model you've got and have a huge battle, Legendary. All exactly the same. The only difference is how you build your armies. There's a little bit of different rules to make it balanced. They also have Vanguard. Now this is part of the sort of Kings of War fantasy area, but Vanguard is very much skirmish based, individual models as opposed to large units, and it is sort of a skirmish based. You might have 10 or so individual units in your squad, and that's that one. The other part of their fantasy arm are the dungeon. And now this is Dungeon Adventures. They've released the first 2 volumes of that. The 3rd and 4th volume are on their way. This is a role-playing game. It's based on the Dungeons & Dragons rule set, 5th edition, and Dungeon Adventures is related to that. Dungeon Saga, you might have heard quite a lot about, or particularly, Dungeon Saga Origins. That's a new release. Dungeon Saga is a dungeon crawler. It was out on Kickstarter a few years ago, and it has been released for retail since then. Dungeon Saga Origins is a newer version of that coming soon that has simplified the rule set to make it a little bit more entry-level friendly. There's a lot more information about Dungeon Saga Origins going around on much better videos than mine. Final point I want to make then is Kings of War, Ambush, Legendary, Vanguard, they all use the same models. A dwarf guy with a rifle known as Dwarven Iron Watch. He is the same model in Kings of War, obviously the smaller and the larger armies, Ambush and Legendary. He's the same in model in Vanguard. You can use him in Dungeon Saga, and he would also be a dwarf hero in your dungeon adventures. So if you don't get a lot of time to paint like I don't, the models can be used in multiple games. Obviously, Armada is a bit different because it is ships, but for everything else, the models are a direct crossover. Thanks very much again. I hope that makes a little bit more sense out of Mantic's fantasy line. Thank you.